Most leaders are asking the wrong question entirely. They're stuck asking, "What do I do?" instead of asking the more important question, "Who am I?" Because every nonverbal cue you give, every pause you don't take, every assumption you make about your team, it's all shaping your culture right now. And if you're leading from a place of insecurity, impatience, or scarcity, no amount of tactics that you learn are going to save you. This is a brutal truth, but it's also liberating. When the same problems keep showing up on your campus, when people don't come to you with ideas, when conflict feels dangerous instead of generative, the common denominator might be staring right back at you in the mirror. So, in today's conversation with Chad Dumas, author of the Teacher Team Leader Handbook, we're diving into the internal work that makes external leadership possible. From the 5 assumptions that change how you see people to the nonverbal patterns that either build trust or destroy it. I'm Danny Bauer, and this is Better Leaders, Better Schools, the original ruckus cast for innovative school leaders who want to do school different, even within a traditional setting, so that we create campus experiences worth showing up for. Thanks for pressing play. Because of ruckus makers just like you, this show ranks in the top 1% of nearly 4 million podcasts worldwide, and it's the most downloaded show for school leaders. I so appreciate you tuning in, and we'll get to the content right after a quick message from our show sponsors. Want to know how top schools create collaborative learning environments that actually work? ODP Business Solutions has equipped innovative educators for over 3 decades. Visit odpbusiness.com/education and let's make a ruckus together. That's odpbusiness.com/education. This episode of Better Leaders, Better Schools is sponsored by Play Piper. Every student starts with curiosity. Piper keeps it alive. Our hands-on STEM kits turn gaming passion into real engineering skills. Spark confidence in your students at playpiper.com. Go over and visit playpiper.com today. IXL takes the guesswork out of lesson planning for teachers. IXL's ready-made lesson plans are aligned to your textbooks and state standards, so teachers can turn to IXL for the exact content they need to help their students. You can get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. All right, and Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. It's a blessing to be with you and to join Ruckus Maker Nation.
Yeah, Ruckus Maker Nation. I should say welcome back. It's your second time on the show. That's like a small group of people, right? Even though I've been doing this for 10 years, there haven't been that many repeat guests, so to speak. So that puts you in a top percentile. So next time you're having a bad day, you're stuck in traffic and you just feel like life is garbage, you can say to yourself, I've been on Danny's show twice. Today's not so bad at all.
Exactly. Not just once, but twice.
Yeah, not once, but twice. And so we're here to talk about your new book, Teacher Team Leader. And what we just shared there about the joke with you in traffic, that's just a mindset thing. And we're going to get into mindset and how we can frame some stuff. But I think where I want to start is, you talk about how leaders should start with the who and not the what. And that's an interesting distinction. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So many times, I get to work with incredible educators all over the country and they'll say, here's the situation. What do I do?
Yeah. What do I do?
And what do I do? And my tongue in cheek, I say, well, it's not about doing. It's not about the do. It's about the who.
Yeah.
Who you are as a person and as a leader. And it all starts there because who we are inside manifests itself on the outside.
Yeah.
Even if we don't know it or don't recognize it, other people read our intentions. And so it begins with that clarity. And so this book, well, it's called the Teacher Team Leader Handbook. It really could be for anybody who works with any other person. And starts with who we are, not what we do.
Right.
What we
Right.
do is important. That's the second part. But we have to ground ourselves in who we are and what that means.
It's a good point, though. I mean, you think about everybody's going to have an expiration date, and at funerals, usually people are talking about who that person was, how they made them feel, not like what they did, all the accomplishments, although sometimes maybe. But the who is definitely of way more value than the what. And yet, here you are working with educators and leaders all over the nation. And that's the question, right? That's the leader's version of, is this on the test? Tell me what to do,
Yes.
Chad. Tell me what to do, because I'm going to be tested on this tomorrow. And
Yeah.
why do you think they want that? Like what? The practical guide so badly?
Yeah. Part of me thinks that we live in this society that wants quick wins.
Mm,
Give me the Medicaid. I got a cold, give me a med. I got a headache, give me the med. Whatever it is, we're looking for those quick answers. And they take care of the symptoms, but not the underlying root cause.
right.
And so when somebody says, hey, people in my organization, they don't come to me and they don't share their thoughts with me. There's probably some nonverbal communication things that you're doing. And on the inside, do you have those assumptions and those mindsets of seeing in others more than what they can see in themselves, of having humility in your own learning, of bringing joy wherever you go?
Hmm.
Those mindsets, those assumptions, they form that foundation. And then through those, if you have those in place solidly, then your outside behaviors manifest those internal beliefs, values, etc.
Yeah. That is an important point you highlighted there, because like if people aren't coming to you as a leader, there probably is a lot of nonverbal. There might be some verbal going on too that makes it an environment where people don't want to share. Maybe they don't trust you or whatever the case may be, but there's stuff that's happening that is impacting your ability to really optimize your leadership, add the most value, to campus that you could. One of my favorite breakthrough stories, I won't share the name or the state, but there was a principal in our leadership community, the mastermind, and I would I might even say years. It was certainly months. But we have a part of our community where we do the hot seat, and I share my problem with practice. We leverage the collective IQ and experience of the room to solve that challenge. And for this leader, the same problems kept coming up, right? And it could be like, why aren't people coming to me? That wasn't it, but it was something. And he finally had a breakthrough moment. And I think it's because our space created the safety and the belonging necessary for us to act as a mirror. We didn't have to say this to him, but he had a epiphany, which was, I've been sharing the same challenges, the same problems. What if it's not everybody else?
Mhm.
What if, Chad? What if it's me?
Mhm.
And we were all kind of like, yeah, what if, right? Because you are talking about the same stuff
Yeah.
and there's been no breakthrough. So he then went on that journey and he became the principal of the year of a state, like a big state.
Mhm.
So that's just kind of a cool little case study. Like I said, I don't want to reveal his name. Super proud of him and he knows that. But it was the internal work connecting it to your book. He had to work on the who
Yep.
versus the what, because the tactics wouldn't
Yep.
matter if you're still what. And even if you're not one of those kind of people and a jerk, you could just be putting people off like unintentionally because of other stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, you mentioned assumptions. And so I think that's good. You got 5 assumptions. And I do want to start with assumption 1. People do the best that they can. Because
Yeah.
that's important. Like, is that an foundational belief you have as a leader, that everybody on my campus is really giving their best effort, given, what they have? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So that's my first assumption that I offer. And I do have them ranked in terms of importance in my
Mhm.
mind. So this assumption, so before I talk about that assumption, the word assumption means that it's something that we assume, right? It's something that
Yeah.
we hold to be true. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a fact.
Hmm.
So sometimes people are not doing the best that they can. I still need to assume that they are. Because if I assume that they're doing the best that they can, some cases I have to hallucinate it. If
Mm-hmm.
I assume that, then I will treat them differently. So that first assumption is really powerful. When I assume that other people are doing the best that they can, regardless of whether or not they are or not, I'm able to then approach them with that mindset, with that humility, with that drawing out from the best of them attitude of, "Okay, you are doing the best you can. Now, how can I
Mm-hmm.
support you moving forward? You're not trying to undermine me. You're not trying to, because if I have the assumption that you're trying to undermine me, I'm going to treat them different than if I
Yeah,
assume that they're doing the best they can."
for sure. That's a good point. I run a little workshop called the Empathy Workshop. Had a client who was gonna read the riot act to a staff member, deservedly so, because he sucked. His performance was very poor. But the approach, he was so mad, right? And felt so just like disrespected and like, you're hurting kids and the staff, you're poisoning the culture. But, we talked about the approach, walked her through a 4-part empathy workshop. And really the whole goal is to walk them out in that person's shoes, see
Mhm.
why they believe what they believe and why they're right.
For sure.
Whoa. Like, you mean this opinion I don't agree with is correct to this
Right.
person?
For sure.
And anyways, at the end of this approach, she had a different heart toward the conversation. The very
Mhm.
next day, she led the conversation that was going to be reading him the riot act. Instead, because of the empathetic approach, right? She was
Mhm.
assuming he was doing the best he can and what he believed
Mhm.
was right, given like
Mhm.
all his life experience. Well, the punchline is he received all the feedback, all the criticism and areas of improvement that she wanted to highlight. He received all of it and changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus you come in there, you're like,
Mhm.
you suck, your teaching's terrible. You're not going to say it this way, but
Right.
poisoning the culture. But you just bring that energy and the
Yep.
person builds the wall, right? So is
Yep.
that kind of, what you're talking about here, in terms of
Absolutely.
being helpful? So,
Yep. Absolutely. When you
yeah.
assume that they are doing their best, we treat them differently. We give grace, right?
Mhm. Let's go to assumption 5 because this one's a challenge for me. I don't like conflict at all, and you're
Yeah.
assuming that conflict's good, right?
Conflict
So,
is good. Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
me about that, me personally.
Okay. Okay. So I love this one. And it comes from, I heard somebody say once that if there's three people in the room and we all agree, two of us are unnecessary.
I like that.
So conflict is good. The problem is that most of the time conflict becomes affective. It becomes relational. It's between you and I personally,
Right.
as opposed to the ideas and having cognitive conflict.
Mhm.
So what the team leader or the principal or the superintendent or the spouse, the parent, again, this applies to any human dealing with any other human, has to do is to remove the relational affective side from the conflict and let's deal with the issue itself.
Mhm.
And so that requires us. So that's the second part of the book, is getting into the skills. So there are skills associated with that. So for example, using a third point. So instead of you and I having conflict between ourselves. So an example I sometimes share with folks is, kids, there are certain kids who become frequent flyers to the principal's office. And so when
They
that
want the
kid
club. They
comes to,
want the club experience.
they want the club experience. So when they come to the office, you know, I can say to the kiddo, "Hey, this is like your 33rd office referral this week. What's going on?"
Yeah.
And immediately defensiveness comes in. As opposed to if I have a sheet of paper that has these times and dates, and I say the exact same words, I'll say the exact same words in the exact same way. "Hey, you've got 33 office referrals this week. What's going on?" And then I'm looking at that third point. Now the conflict can become about that third point. And it just totally changes, right? Now we can have conflict about this thing here. We also can
Mhm.
shift our language. Instead of "you have had 33," we can say, "It looks like there have been 33 office referrals this week," right? I'm removing the personal nature. So the conflict isn't between us. The conflict is between those referrals, that sheet of paper, that third point. And now we can have conflict about that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's something I hear too, in just like marriage and relational advice,
Mhm,
take that you
mhm,
out of your language. It really
mhm,
that makes people defensive, and it makes things personal when you say it. And so it's really, probably maybe another way to think about that student is a principal saying, hey, when I have a kiddo that has 33 referrals in a week, here's what I start to wonder and think and feel,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And now I'm made it all about me and concern, for a student.
Right.
I might
Mhm,
also even ask a student too, like, here's a list of 33 referrals, right,
mhm,
for a single student. And I
mhm,
haven't even revealed, right, that it's you. As principal, this is concerning to me. I wonder what
mhm.
I should do with this kid. And I wonder how that student might even respond, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then reveal, it's you, buddy. It's you. I also would wonder about my faculty if they're writing up a kid
Yes.
33 times in a week. Like that's probably a problem too. But we'll,
Yep,
we'll keep that. We'll keep that out. I know what you were talking about there
yep, yep.
with making it personal for people. So
And if we have that assumption that conflict is good, then I'm going to approach it that way, as
right,
opposed to having an assumption that conflict is bad and I might skirt away from it or try to avoid it or just sweep it under the rug altogether.
yeah, for sure. All right, before the break, and we get to like some more of the doing stuff and the nonverbal. So that's really a great part to stick around for the show. Anything you want to say about mindsets? I know there's three of them. To see what others don't see in themselves. That's a great leadership lesson. To be humble with a posture of learning and to spread the contagion of joy. Which one do you want to riff on for a second here?
Let's riff on the joy one.
Okay, yeah, we need more
Um,
joy. My first
we
book, I
do
said
need,
I said, Disney shouldn't be the most magical place on earth. It should be schools, because what
Mhm,
makes Disney work isn't the characters or the money and the budget and the rides. It's kids and their
mhm,
imagination. So,
mhm.
anyways, yeah, we should have really
Yeah,
joyful spaces to work.
absolutely. Absolutely. A friend of mine recently, he said, everybody brings joy wherever they go. Some when they enter the room, some when they leave the room.
Okay.
So be
And
the
some when
person
you
who,
leave the room, everybody else experiences joy, right? There
exactly.
might be a third way there too.
Yeah, exactly. So be the person who spreads that joy. Emotions are contagious. Knowledge is not contagious, right? Like you and I, you don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what you're thinking, but you know what I'm feeling, and I know what you're feeling just by looking at you.
Mhm.
And so one of the key mindsets, and a mindset is an attitude leading to action. So it's not
Mm.
just some ephemeral idea. No, like there are actions associated with
Yeah.
spreading the contagion of joy, starting with smiling, starting with laughter, engaging with each other in positive, uplifting ways. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, Disneyland is great, but Disneyland is also a place of fun. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be fun, but it does need to be joyful and this inner sense of purpose and progress and relationships that comes from meaningful work.
Yeah. That reminds me of Lao Tzu. I looked up the quote as you were sharing there, but he said, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So that's really,
Mm.
I think, what we're talking about here, right?
Yep. Yep. It all comes back to the thoughts, right?
All back to what is going
Circles
on
back to the
here.
thoughts.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. Well, let's take a quick break to get some messages in from our sponsors. And then when we return, I do want to touch on some of these actions and especially like nonverbal stuff, because whether this is a ruckus maker who's a teacher, team leader, or somebody leading a campus, maybe even leading a system, that nonverbal piece is an important one, to learn. So we'll dig in there right after the break. ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division, has been a trusted partner for schools for 30 years. At ODP Business Solutions, we're by your side to meet your evolving education needs. Remember that feeling when you wanted to upgrade your learning spaces, but the budget said, maybe next year? Here's what most people don't know. ODP Business Solutions doesn't just offer competitive pricing, we give you access to negotiated cooperative contracts that maximize every dollar. Want proof? We helped the Baldwin School District transform their entire campus while staying under budget. How? By combining smart design with smarter purchasing. From essential supplies to cutting edge tech, from sustainable cleaning solutions to flexible furniture, we're your one stop shop to do school different. And the best part, you can get it all from a single supplier. That helps you simplify ordering and streamlining budgeting while staying compliant with easy access to cooperative contracts. However you want to advance, ODP Business Solutions has 30 years of experience helping districts like yours get ahead. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. Too often, kids who love gaming don't see themselves as scientists or engineers. But what if play could open that door? That's what Play Piper is all about. Their hands on STEM kits turn curiosity into confidence by connecting gaming and tinkering with real world coding and engineering. Suddenly, students realize they are capable of discovery and innovation. For educators searching for ways to spark excitement and keep kids engaged in STEM, Piper is the bridge. Learn more at playpiper.com. That's playpiper.com to learn more. What makes an assessment effective? I would argue giving teachers access to quick, reliable, and useful results that inform the next best steps for teaching. And that's where IXL really stands out. Teachers get powerful insights into student performance on a daily basis so they can address issues the moment they arise. Imagine that, adjusting instruction in real time before it's too late. Your teachers have a tool that helps them be even more effective. And your students, they grow and they grow. Check it out for yourself at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. All right, and we're back with Chad Dumas, and we're talking about his new book, The Teacher Team Leader. And I queued up, right? Nonverbal communication before the break. And this is probably an overlooked aspect of the leadership toolbox. So I really want to spend some time and go deeper here. And it's a tragedy that it is because it's so important, right? Like people work on their words all the time. And I'm teaching a storytelling class right now. But the nonverbal stuff can absolutely inflate or deflate a project, right? A culture or relationship. And even something as simple, I'll just say this, I'm guessing it's not in your book, but my storytelling mentor, as I started to go and perform at the Moth, he talked to me about outfits, not even seeing anything I've worn, but he kind of always wears just a Yankees hat, a black shirt, jeans, and some Nikes. It's a very basic outfit.
Right.
And I think of like some of my shirts choices, like graphic tees, and just this is kind of fun, right? Even this. But I've chosen when I do keynotes now, workshops, telling stories at the Moth, I just wear a black V-neck t-shirt, right? And the reason is because non-verbally, I want all attention on the story and not what I'm wearing, right? And so, that's what I have to offer. Now I'm going to pass the mic to you.
I love that.
Besides our
I love that.
wardrobe, how do we think of
Yes.
nonverbals?
Well, so there's some great research on nonverbal communication, and most people have heard the research that, like 93% of meaning is attributed to nonverbals. And I won't get into how that's actually a miscitation of the research. But anyway, I think we can all agree that how we say what we say matters as much as or more than what we say. And actually, just yesterday, I was talking to my wife about something and I said, well, good luck. And she said, now, is that a good luck, like really good luck, or is that a good luck? Right?
Yeah.
Same
Sure.
words,
Yeah.
different ways. And those of us who've worked with middle schoolers know that the tone of voice really determines the
Yeah.
level of sincerity that we ascribe to what that other person says. So I've identified 40 actions that we can take in settings with others to impact effectiveness. And probably 25 or 30 of those are nonverbal. And beginning with, I'll just highlight a couple of them here. So first of all, the single most important nonverbal pattern that we have as humans, and there are about 50 that have been identified. The single most impactful pattern is the pause. Of all those 50 some moves, the pause has a tremendous impact on respiration, metabolism, heart rate, blood pressure, and more. You right now, Danny, probably have noticed I've inserted a number of pauses as part of talking about the pause.
I just figured you were, pretty good at speaking. So, because you were doing it in the first half as well. And then, not to make it about me, but Matt, my mentor, I was a former teacher, I use those pauses in my storytelling too, as well.
Absolutely.
And it's just really effective. So eyes back on me.
Really effective. So listeners, to this show right now, probably their heart rate has probably come down, their metabolism, their respiration, all of those things come down. And so the pause has that. It also has the added benefit, what you're talking about with like storytelling. When you pause before saying something, listeners attribute a higher level of credibility to what you're going to say. Subconsciously, they don't even realize it.
Yeah. You could say something totally stupid and you pause before it. Wow, man, let me write that down. Let me write it down with pen.
Yep. And then a pause after you say something helps the brain to remember it. There's actual hard science on this. And so raising that for leaders to recognize that, like, don't talk a mile a minute, blah, 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 like, breathe, which is also closely related to breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're with a group of people, most people don't recognize it, but when you're with a group of people that is doing good work and feels the joy of doing that good work, they're all breathing in similar patterns, low in the diaphragm. When you're in groups that are in high conflict, people tend not to be breathing deep. They're breathing up out of their shoulders. It's shallow breathing.
Shallow, yep.
And with shallow breathing, the problem with shallow breathing is it doesn't oxygenate the blood that you need. And what happens when the blood is not oxygenated? The prefrontal cortex. Yeah, exactly. The amygdala hijacks the brain. Mm-hmm. And it's simply a matter of physics, how we're arranged, biology, that if you're not breathing, the blood's not getting the prefrontal cortex to oxygenate your thinking.
Yeah.
So those two go hand in hand, the pausing and breathing.
The pause reminds me of my my meditation bowl, right? So that's what the pause does. Like the meditation bowl too. I mean, it brings you back to the present, right? And disrupts the distracted thoughts or where you got hijacked by your thoughts and you're no longer here listening. You're just out there doing stuff. And so when you pause speaking wise too, people are like, because they're so used to noise. And especially in the US, right? There's other societies and cultures I've been around that moving at a slower pace, not as distracted, not always plugged in all the time, technology. Mm-hmm. But at least for sure in the United States culture, you pause, people are like, whoa, what's going on? And then it's weird because if you hold that pause too long, it's like, oh, are we going to be okay? Because now there's silence and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And, we could riff on trust and all that and like, how to make it comfortable. But yeah, I really like what you shared there about the pause. Appreciate that. Any other nonverbals that you think were really practical, and potentially easy for the ruckus maker listening or watching to this show that they could apply in their work?
Yeah. So going along with the pause and with breathing, I would also add the use of the frozen gesture.
The frozen gesture.
The frozen gesture. So that's simply making a gesture and freezing it, which goes with the pause.
It's like the teacher.
So the teacher, and also if you look at somebody, so it also goes with eye contact. So like if I pause and freeze my gesture while looking at you, that can be threatening. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I pause, freeze my gesture and break eye contact, that signals thoughtfulness. If I pause, but I keep moving my hand, it just looks weird. So if people, and then people will jump in and start speaking. So if you want to create a pause for a group of people, you can do it a couple different ways. One is just to subconsciously create it by speaking, and as you speak, pausing, freezing your gesture, and breaking eye contact. You can also consciously do it and say, we've been talking about some pretty intense subjects here. Let's just take like 30 seconds and create some silence for us. Jot down for yourself what you're thinking about, or just reflect on this. And in like 30 seconds, we'll come back and talk. I don't think we do that enough in our meetings, where we create, we just say, hey, let's just all pause and think about this for a second.
Well, the other thing, not just pause and think, potentially pause, think, and write a thoughtful response, right?
Yeah.
So I used to teach this idea. I got it from Seth Godin in the Alt MBA, but he introduced us to a brainwriting. There's an article, I can't remember the source, but we're used to brainstorming, and where that's creative, and ideation in real time with a group of people. Brainwriting is good because it does two things. Well, it does a few things. One, it sort of like makes a level playing field for everybody involved, right? Because everybody's been tasked to do some writing ahead of a meeting. That solves for the person who usually speaks first and loudest, and then everybody just agrees with the opinion, right? That's a problem. It also invites introverts to participate, Third step, if you want to do it, you could exchange papers, have somebody read somebody else's thoughtful response, and now they're not as attached to this idea, quote unquote, winning, but they're just presenting, what they have in front of them. So that's the brainwriting, activity. But I saw some connections, to what you were sharing there.
Absolutely.
Just give people time to process and to think, and and maybe we don't need the solution right now. We could set another meeting to figure that piece out too. So,
yeah,
cool. Let's see. I saw a beat gesture. What's that about?
Yes. So a beat gesture is when you really want to emphasize something, and I know your listeners can't see me doing it.
Well, hopefully they can if they go to YouTube.
Yeah. They can go to YouTube and watch it. That's right. So if you're listening it, press pause, go to YouTube and pick it up. So with the beat gesture, it's simply using your hand to emphasize certain points.
What about like snapping along with it or clapping? Is that good, bad? Do you have an opinion on that?
I have not seen research on the snapping or clapping along. My own personal preference would probably be not, right? Like it's just so this is really important, right? So I came down with and those people.
You're emphasizing sort of the syllable of the word. Yep.
Is really important. And you can't do it on everything, it's just on certain things that you think are really important. And that's one of the refining your skills. That's further down in the list of those 40 different sets of skills, is to think about how you go about emphasizing certain words or phrases. Yeah.
As a presenter, often I'll tell an audience, because I know this point is really important to me and I want it to be memorable. I'll tell them, write this down, right? And now I'm thinking with a beat gesture, I could say, write this down, at the same time, maybe to make it a little more impactful. But that's something a ruckus maker can do with their staff too. If they're just making a point and it's about something they're doing, school-wise, project-wise, and all right, this is important, write it down. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So as I was, researching for this book and playing around with these things, because the nonverbal skills I think are fun to mess around with and to watch. Like when you're at the grocery store, see how people are responding. Movies and television shows, you can really see these skills in action. Once you're aware of them, you can see how they use their breathing, the pausing, the beat gesture, the frozen gesture, all the time. And so it's kind of fun to then watch me. That's what they did. Oh, okay. And it worked, right? And that had this impact. And if I want to have that impact, I need to think about, as long as I'm coming back to who I am, that we talked about in the first half, right? Coming back to those intentions, mindsets, assumptions.
The interesting thing with the nonverbals, it's connected to the who I am, because you're getting comfortable and familiar with your body as well. Right?
Yes.
And sometimes if you're always just living in this cerebral idea space, disconnected, from your body, you don't have that ability to use your physicality to communicate, right? When you totally could. I love the point about TV and movies, because I read a book called Story. Oh, I'm going to forget the author's name. I know the last name is McPhee, I think. I should look it up while we're chatting. But it was actually about like script writing for movies and stuff. But I wanted to learn also about what makes a great story work.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
one of the interesting takeaways from that I wasn't expecting, dialogue in movies and TV should be basically the most economical, fewest amount of words you could use. Whereas in a written story, you might use more descriptive language. But in the
Oh,
movie and TV, you don't want that for a variety of reasons, but also the actors, they're able to communicate in much more than just words, where in a book you have just the words.
right,
So a lot
right.
of cool connections through storytelling and this nonverbal stuff as well that you're
Yes.
bringing up, which I really
Yep.
appreciate. Well, hey, I wish we had 10 hours to talk about, all 40 nonverbals, and we maybe covered 5 at most. But, when it comes to the teacher team leader, any last thoughts that you just want, to leave for the ruckus maker? We definitely encourage them to check out the book, get it for their teacher
Yeah.
team leaders on campus. But yeah, I'll let you have the last word here.
Yeah. Last word would be that each of us has had one or more people in our lives who saw
Mm,
in us more than we even saw in ourselves. And they reached in there and they drew it out and they helped us become who we are today. And it behooves us, it's incumbent upon us to now do the same for the others who are coming behind in the next generation, or even our
mhm,
current generation, or even
mhm,
older generation. It behooves
mhm.
us to do the same, to see in others more than what they might even see in themselves, and draw that out.
Hey, Ruckus Makers, thanks again for pressing play. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. And before you go, if today's episode shifted something in you so that you want to do school different, or maybe you have a new idea about how to reimagine education on your campus, then check out My Principal Coach. It's your AI-powered leadership mentor. It's trained on 10 years of mastermind and private coaching experience that I've had. It's like having a world-class ruckus maker mentor in your pocket 24/7. You can start your free 7-day trial at myprincipalcoach.com.